We're Bash Bros Movies, and welcome to the third episode of the Captain's Chair, our, I'm gonna say weekly recap of Star Trek Discovery, even though it's not necessarily that, since this is our third episode, but we watched, 12th episode today, and, listen, last three episodes, Star Trek took us into a mirror universe, a parallel universe, so to speak, and which it actually is. And before we get into it, just a quick reminder: this is gonna go on we're gonna recap Star Trek Discovery until the end of the season for the next 3 more episodes every week. After that, it's probably gonna be once a month, maybe more, maybe less. It depends. This is supposed to be our log of trek through Star Trek universe, so to speak. So yeah, puns all around, puns always, even when not intended, they are intended. So listen, Mirror Universe first appeared in the original series in Captain Kirk's era, and we get glimpses of that in today's episode as well, when they mentioned they mentioned Defiant, but it's actually USS Defiant, which disappeared in a few episodes before Captain Kirk actually by mistake went to the Mirror Universe. And what happened with USS Defiant was it not only went back in time, but it went through space as well, and it went 100 years before Captain Kirk era into Captain Archer's era into the Mirror Universe, where Captain Archer got a hold of it, and before he had chance to use it to full extent, he ended up dying, and one of his lieutenants,
who killed him,
exactly, picked up the mantle, killed him, and took over USS Defiant and proclaimed herself Emperor of the Terran Empire, which is the ruling force in the Mirror Universe. And it got its name Mirror Universe because everything there mirrors the Prime Universe, where Captain Kirk, Captain Archer, Captain Janeway, and everybody else comes from. Yeah, man. And in this episode, we find out that in the Defiant, when it came to this universe, it came with all its crew dead, which is also something we found out in Captain Kirk's episode as well, because the place in space where they were, basically it affected the crew in such a way that they all went mad crazy and they all ended up killing each other. And that's where Captain Kirk got on board, part of his crew, because Enterprise
almost
was
happened to Enterprise too.
Yeah, and it started happening to Doc McCoy and Scotty, and well, of course, Mr. Spock has listen, he's a Vulcan, so their brains are trained much better than human brains are. So like the craziness pretty much never...
They stopped it, and
Yeah, and listen, and Defiant disappeared, and once it disappeared, disappeared where we said it went, and through space and time 100 years prior into Mirror Universe. Captain Kirk disappeared as well, but he stayed in the same space-time continuum. They were able to save him, and of course, I think that was in season 2 of the original series. In season 3, a transport accident, switch places, blah blah blah, and we're in Mirror Universe again. The crew of Star Trek Discovery got there by accident as well. They also, what we found...
Or did they?
Well, maybe not.
I'm not sure they did.
Listen, what happened was they switched places with the ISS Discovery, which is the Discovery starship of the Mirror Universe, and that's kind of where like things fall into place, right? Because listen, Captain Lorca and Michael Barnum, who are the main protagonists in the series, they kind of went missing, so our Prime Universe, what do we call them? Lost travelers, pretty much, decided to take their place and see what happened to USS Defiant, how it got here, how they can go back. Because the doctor, the main engineer, who is actually the guy whose fault it was that they ended up here, he's pretty much in a coma. And in this episode we find out that he's communicating with his Mirror Universe counterpart. Yeah. And that was a pretty cool part of the story too. I think because especially when the engineer said that he's actually working on the Emperor's ship, Palace ship actually, Charon or Charon, however you decide to pronounce it. But he still hasn't found out that this dude is actually a bad dude. Like,
Not at first.
Not
but
at
then
first.
he does.
at the end of the episode,
Then
and
he does.
yeah, and because
And he
he's
wakes up.
because he's
Stuff.
confused, because the force that he basically what was it? He infused his DNA with allows him
The
to
spore drive.
yeah this. Well, not just the spore drive, was the spores and the creature that communicates with spores or eats spores or what have you. They're scattered all throughout the universe, and it allows him to travel pretty much anytime, anywhere. And
So if you're keeping up with Discovery, just to shorten, this kind of goes on for a while.
yeah, pretty much.
Basically, if you have been keeping up with Discovery so far, you know they're stuck in the mirror universe. They are trying to find their way back, except then maybe they're not. This is where the storytelling of the story or of the Discovery really gets. I mean, listen, after the first 9 episodes before the winter break, you were kind of wondering, okay, how can they how did he make this any better? How does the story get better? And they did. And then they sent it into Mirror Universe, and if you watch previous Star Trek shows, you know a little bit something about Mirror Universe. You know that they stick around usually for episode 2 at the most.
We pretty much recapped the entire Mirror Universe in our last episode.
DS9 kind of goes back and forth, but it's always one episode kind of per season.
Yeah.
This is the first prolonged stay we had.
Yeah.
Or look into the Mirror Universe we had since Captain Archer.
Yeah, if you discount DS9, I think which had like 5 or 6 episodes. These are 3 in a row. Like these are three.
And we might get another 3.
Yeah, I'm still.
I said it last week.
Yeah, I know, man.
They might, especially with stuff that's happening here, they might stick around longer.
Yeah, you said.
I'm not saying they're gonna go. Season 2 is still gonna be.
You said until the end of the season they're gonna be in the Mirror Universe. I'm just saying. Listen, if the next episode that's in Mirror Universe is the last episode, that's all I'm saying, man. I said it'll be 3. It's not 3. This was the 3rd. We're going into 4th. I'm still saying next one
basically
is
what
the
he
last
does
one.
is every time we do one of these, he says the next one is gonna be the last
If
one.
it goes into the next one.
So eventually, at one point, he's gonna get it right because I just call it from the beginning. I think they might stick with the Mirror Universe till the end of the season. I kind of hope they do because I love what they're doing with the story. And
listen,
what I'm also wondering is what the heck is happening with the Discovery that went from the Mirror Universe to the Prime Universe.
that's why I
Because
think.
that's something we didn't see yet.
Yeah.
And we still have no idea what Captain Lorca's hidden intention here is all along, because stuff happens. They spoil it.
Yeah, we said in the first episode these are gonna be spoilers.
Okay, so here's the thing: Captain Lorca, Star Trek Discovery, Captain Lorca, he's actually from the Mirror Universe.
yeah.
So he has been the whole light thing, because he's sensitive to light, has nothing to do with the fight or wherever it was, the Borean Prime, whatever. I forgot. It was something. Basically, that's where he lost his eyesight, became sensitive to the light. No, that's where the Captain Lorca from the Mirror Dimension and the Captain Lorca from the Prime Universe, they kind of switched places and nobody knew.
Yeah, and how it happened. I'm wondering how it happened.
Because there's so much stuff that happened in this episode, you're like, I did not see this coming.
Because this is part of the thing I have with Mirror Universe, man. Every time we go there, to me, it's like tension building. There's always a sense of dread. But to me, also is, listen, Captain Kirk was the guy who discovered Mirror Universe. Like, he went there first. So everything that's happening to this Discovery, it's not really first time. Like, this is the first time actually that we're discovering Mirror Universe in the Prime Universe. So how are they gonna bring this full circle around? Because listen, when Michael met with the Emperor and told him about, listen, we come, like, I'm not your Michael, I'm Michael, but I'm not your Michael, and even I come from a different universe, I come from parallel universe. the possibility of a parallel universe for a civilization so advanced as is the Terran Empire, for the emperor to be, empress actually, to be fascinated or be wild by an idea of a parallel universe even existing is, I don't know, man. It's just confusing to me. Like, if you're a scientist, like even us here, like on this planet Earth today, in the 21st century, even in 20th century even, there was an idea of parallel universes existing. So it's, to me, like mirror universe, to not have this idea of parallel universes existence, to me it's kind of lame.
But she knew about it because of the start of the USS.
Yes, as defined. Yeah,
she knew about it. But and she obviously had the opportunity to read the Starfleet data that was on the Defined.
Of course.
And then she figured out that the society that the Terrans are and the society that the Federation represents.
Yeah, because Captain Archer only deleted the data pertaining to personnel files.
But he left everything else.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so she read those and she saw what the Federation is, and just.
And it's a powerful ship. It comes from 100 years in the future when it went back in the past. So it was like the most powerful ship.
But the thing is,
so it was
as an empress, she saw, because she also hinted to the time where Spock became an emperor and kind of changed things up.
Well, Spock comes 10 years later though. So, dude, listen, Spock exists in this universe, but
here's the
at this particular, like,
but
he's on Enterprise.
She saw the Federation and she was like, I don't like what this represents.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to this as Terrans. I like.
Yeah, Terran Empire, so they're racist bastards, pretty much. Like, they're a bunch of.
They're like Nazis.
Pretty much.
With spaceships.
Yeah, let that sink in for a while, because they are pretty much raging like across, like the blatant racism and cannibalism, even, like, if you,
well, I don't know about cannibalism, but
well, I mean, if you're eating other humanoids, I'd still consider that form of cannibalism. And listen, and that scene reminded me of something, guys. Oh, it was Vikings, man. It was Vikings.
Back to the Star Trek Discovery,
where they ate their enemy. It was this ridiculous scene, man. So that's what the So
storytelling wise, I like where he's going. I really like, and I'm like, I hope they stick around Mirror Universe for a while, because there's so much potential. Because this is, I believe, with everything they did with previous Star Trek shows, I don't think they ever explored Mirror Universe like this.
Never.
So to
like
see
DS9 is an exception, but DS9 happens in 24th century.
Oh yeah.
So
by that time stuff happens, and even then it's like basically you get one episode per season.
Yeah, and that's by the end of that's like starting in season 4 or 5.
Yeah, so you get like 4 or 5 episodes, I think, altogether. Here we got 3 of them, and I think we're gonna get 3 more. I think they're gonna keep this going. Part of me hopes that they stick around beyond season 1.
Okay.
I don't think they will, but I'm really curious, because you mentioned it. You mentioned it. Oh yeah, definitely. But you mentioned it that with every episode they answer a few questions.
Yeah, that's when we were talking off camera.
They give you a few answers, but like they ask a whole bunch of questions. Like, okay, what now? What do you do after this? What comes next?
And not because it has to tie to the rest of the story that they've been telling so far in previous shows.
Oh yeah.
And so to me, it's like, there's that one scene at the end where even if we didn't get a scene with Lorca escaping from the Agonizer, which was actually introduced in Captain Kirk's episode as well, when he threw Mirror Sulu in because he was trying to kill him. But even if Captain Lorca didn't escape from that Agonizer, we would still get an answer like Captain Lorca that we know is actually Mirror Lorca. He's not Prime Lorca.
And now you have that, like, when did they switch places?
Not only that, I'm wondering, and we talked a little bit about this off camera, but I want them to answer the question because it's now asked. How do they live on planet Earth if they're sensitive to sunlight? How can they live next to sun? You know,
I
it's
think
like,
their sun might be a little less bright than ours. That would
I think that's a
explain it.
possibility, but then it would also make the planet colder, a lot colder than it already is. So I don't
Here's
think
the thing. Where are we now? Time-wise, 20 what century?
it's century is 23rd.
Ah,
So
23rd.
it's
So you have
10
no idea what happened between 21st and 23rd. Maybe somewhere along the line, stuff happened. Sun
It's possible,
started dying down, and
That's-
due to the
That's
advanced
possible
technology.
because we are first time we are introduced to eye sensitivity to light
So
in
it
this
might
universe.
be.
So it
a
might be,
thing.
yeah, it might be, definitely might be a thing, man.
Maybe they try bombing the sun and stuff happens. You never know. Stuff happens. I think their sun might be a little bit dimmer than ours. And I think that would explain it.
Because when we went to the Captain Archer's era, that first episode in Star Trek Enterprise starts with the what's his name? Zephyr Cochrane killing the Vulcans who arrived because they saw that Terrans discovered warp drive, and they were in Montana, somewhere in the woods. They were. I mean, they had nice warm clothes, but still, you know, they didn't wear sunglasses, you know. So
Well, it was night.
I think it was more
It was
like
night.
dusk or sundown, but it wasn't really night. I mean, the party went on into the night probably, but
No, it was nighttime. It was dark out.
okay, man, whatever. But I really want them to answer all these questions, man, and I want.
I like the fact that they keep asking them though, because that means there's still story to be told, and I think the way they have been tying it into the rest of the Star Trek universe, I think they're gonna do the same thing with Discovery. I don't know how, don't ask me, but
Well, they're
gonna explain it away at one point.
definitely they have to.
But you know,
Because we discovered that the data from USS Defiant was mostly redacted. And for anyone who has access to it, so it's like only Empress has full access to the data from USS Defiant. And we also discovered in the last episode that the rebellion against the Terran Empire that started with 2 Vulcans in Captain Archer's era went on and lives through mirror versions of current Klingons and other races. And speaking of Klingons, we get another look into the Klingon / human body / whatever is happening with Wak, the son of Nun, and Tyler, what's his face? You know, to me,
I think Wak
Wak.
definitely dead at the end of this one. I think whatever her name, they had her imprisoned on the
on Discovery, yeah.
on Discovery. I think she
Relay, whatever her name.
she pulled him out as evident by the Klingon cry at the end. It happens when the Klingons die. When you what's the word?
Yeah, basically when a Klingon warrior dies, you're supposed to roar to announce that warrior's arrival into Sto-Vo-Kor, which is their version of Valhalla, pretty much. I'm not gonna say heaven because it's it's Valhalla, man. That's what it's supposed to be, where warriors come and fight and drink all day and night and start over again. So, which is actually a version of heaven for those who want to be more specific, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
What do you think? Listen, you said we need to get answers for what happened to Prime Lorca and pretty much mirror Michael Burnham, right? Because we have no idea where that dude is or gal is. So
true. We can safely assume that the Lorcas switched places
during the battle of whatever,
about a year prior to the events that are happening right now. But yeah, that leaves what happens to the Prime Lorca and Mirror Michael.
I'm also wondering, you know what? I'm also wondering because the Empress has her own ship. Dude, and that was a fun part about it, the episode as well, is that the Empress or Emperor doesn't live on Earth. She lives in space on her own ship, which is pretty much like an old
And it's a wicked looking ship, man.
dude.
And whatever that thing is that's powering it, what the heck is that? A star?
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised. I want more questions answered. Okay, I think it's cool that she
That's
doesn't
why I
live on
think-
Earth. And why doesn't she live on Earth? Like, is living on Earth more dangerous than living in space?
I don't know. Might be the whole sun situation.
It's possible.
See, so many questions. That's why I think they're gonna stick with the mirror universe for a while longer.
You're really enjoying this, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Because to me,
I love the storytelling. Like, give me a story, give me a nice story, and you know, I don't care how you wrap it up. I'm gonna enjoy it. And this is a nice story. This is storytelling in Discovery so far. I'm loving it. I'm not even liking it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, listen, even though it's happened 10 years prior to Kirk, I know people like, the technology came so far in the last 50 years, and I'm glad they kind of revitalized the original series with better technology, so to speak, because listen, you watched those few episodes of the original trilogy, original series. And when I was binging, they didn't necessarily have computers. They had these machines that were supposed to be computers, but they only had these light bulbs that would blink, and it wasn't really a computer. Like, you could read data from it, but it's like, I'm guessing, listen, I'm sure that the Close Encounters of the Third Kind came a little bit later. So I would say that you had to read like specific set of lights in order to get specific set of results, but it's so much cooler when you see this happening, and you can actually imagine, listen, Captain Kirk actually had this kind of technology. They didn't have like blinking lights on their dashboards.
No, here's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about technology is it advanced so much since the original series that it gives you an opportunity to do stuff visually. A lot better.
And this is, when it comes
visually speaking, I mean, CBS doing it?
Yeah.
CBS throwing
Paramount
money. Yeah, they're probably throwing money at this left and right.
Dude, it was
As
the
you can
expensive
see.
series. It was shot in IMAX too, so
you can see visually it's
stunning,
oh, yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
The set pieces are incredible, to say the least. And costumes, man, they're not just I don't necessarily like these uniforms. I prefer, the Mirror Universe uniforms are way better in my opinion, but the Discovery's uniforms, I think they're pretty cool. Okay, I think they could have done a little better, but to me they're dope. They're cool. So I'm definitely enjoying. I'm gonna be sad when this season ends, man.
We're getting another one, so I don't care.
When they said that they were gonna do another Star Trek show, I was like, okay, whatever. Especially because they said it was gonna be, because I thought it was gonna be between Kirk and Picard. But even if it's before Kirk, so it's still okay. But to me, it's like, I want to see what happens after Deep Space Nine. I want to see basically Voyager happens, but I want to see what happens after Voyager. I want to see Admiral Riker. I want to see Admiral Picard. I want to see Admiral, Janeway. I want to see.
But here's the thing,
Captain Geordi LaForge. I mean,
here's the thing. All that stuff, it's possible because right now, if I don't listen. I think we said it the last episode.
Probably,
I hope
man.
this goes 6-7
because
seasons long.
Yeah.
As Star Treks usually do. And the thing is, if it gets accepted by the fans, which I have no idea whether it is or it isn't, we might get another one when this one is done.
Another series?
Yeah. There's a world of possibilities because you saw it. They started basically with the Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
They gave you a whole new twist to it.
Definitely.
And now with the TV show, I think Paramount, they're testing out the market. They want to put new stuff out, and I think when you look at what's happening in the industry, generally, if you see what Disney is doing with Star Trek, if you do see
Star Wars,
sorry. When you see what is happening out there, it's like there's all this stuff happening. We're getting all these new things about stuff that we grew up on.
Yeah.
Star Trek. Hopefully we get another one. I don't think they're gonna start doing 2 series at the same time.
I doubt that will happen.
I don't think anybody did that since like Stargate. But anyways, I wouldn't mind.
They kind of did it with Blacklist and Blacklist Redemption, but it was like
Not
just
on
one
the
season.
yeah, and it was like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Stargate, I think they get like 3, 4, 5 seasons went on at the same time for 2 different shows.
Really?
I mean, I had to check to be sure, but yeah, at some point they were doing like at least 2, 3 seasons went simultaneously of 2 different shows, and I'd like to see something like that with Star Trek, but I don't think we will. But
Doubtfully, yeah.
if Discovery is like, listen, 6 seasons down the line, if Discovery is still, we might get another one.
Do you think we could get the Discovery movies, like we did with the, not just the original series, but with TNG?
Here's the thing with the storyline is, if they leave any gaps in the story, they might give you a movie to fill it up.
Okay.
You know what I'm thinking?
No.
Quentin Tarantino. Do we know what movie is he doing?
We have. I think it's new, man. I think
it's new, but check this out. Do you let him do a mirror universe thing?
Well, there's speculation. There's speculation he could do an old Klingon movie because it's supposed to be an R-rated movie, and Klingons are a warrior race. So you could do something with Klingons. That would make sense.
But if you want to stick to the Federation, can you see him doing a Discovery mirror universe thing, or generally a mirror universe movie? I'm not sure. Probably he's not gonna do. He's probably gonna do something different.
Definitely.
But now that you mentioned the Discovery movie, I'd give it to him. Like, if he's making a Star Trek movie, I'd probably give it to him. It's like, here's the whole mirror universe. These are the characters we have so far, but you can just do whatever.
A mirror universe movie would be cool, man. It's definitely, it would definitely be.
You know, you can even put it somewhere in between the Archer universe and what's happening now, and fill in that gap. Since Lieutenant Sato, or whatever her name is, took Defiant and became Empress.
Yeah, Linda Park is still young, man. I mean, she's Asian, so she definitely looks 15 years younger than whatever her actual age is.
So there's a world of possibility. Yeah. Like I said, with everything that's happening in, you know, movieverse and TVverse these days, TV shows are getting a couple of seasons, and there's all these movies coming in. We might get one. I think that probably, you know, the bigwigs are probably sitting and talking about this.
Oh, you know they are, man. I mean,
listen, it's a property. If it's gaining attention, if it's doing good, the people love it, they might do it. And they already put a ton of money into the Discovery, so why not make a movie? Why not shoot a movie? They might do it. Like I said, I think the whole thing just hinges on how much the fans are enjoying the series. I think if they are, like I said, I have no idea because I'm not keeping up with it.
Yeah.
But if they are, you know, guys, the Paramount might sit and say, okay, we still have the Chris Pine thing, and we're gonna keep rolling with that one, but let's do this one. Listen, there's a world of possibilities.
Dude, it's
a big world.
There's a reason Star Trek is so big. I mean, there's a reason for it, and
not to mention that you can do stuff past Voyager. So like, you can pick any time, literally any time.
I would love to see something after Voyager. I would love.
Like I said, there's a world of possibilities out there. Now it's just a matter of whether or not you're gonna do it.
I'm not gonna say in every series, but basically there's at least one episode in DS9. I forgot how many episodes there was in The Next Generation. There was one episode in the beginning of Voyager. And there was you haven't watched Star Trek Enterprise so much, but there's a whole bunch of like time traveling stuff that happens, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens like after 24th century, 26th, 29th, and even 30th or 31st century with the time accords and the.
That's what I was gonna. With Voyager, you found out about time accords. You know, now it's part of the Prime Directive. Travel.
And in Star Trek Enterprise, there was this thing called the not Cold War, but it was temporal Cold Wars, and it's like set in like 31st century, and Federation still exists, but not as it used to. Like, it's different now because once time traveling was discovered, everything changed. Like, time traveling changed the whole notion of societies and civilizations, and so it became not just, you know, going forwards in time, like step by step, you know, improving our civilization, our society, but it became like we need to keep timeline in check, because if somebody with ill intentions gets their hold on a time
traveling
machine,
device,
and
whatever.
and they go back in time, want to change something, like the the consequences are catastrophic, to say the least. So
again, like we said, there's a whole world out there that they can explore. There's so many principles that they're already introduced into this.
And listen, even with the Kelvin universe, or Kelvin timeline, which is the Chris Pine timeline, basically once Romulus got destroyed, and there's stuff that's happening, like they can definitely, like they can let that Kelvin timeline, they can let it go and just focus on their prime universe that they've been developing for over 50 years now, because we are in like 51st year, so
well, that's the thing with Discovery just
dude, I'm
Kelvin timeline, the one that they're doing with the Captain Kirk with Chris Pine.
Yeah.
I think he brought fans back. They're like, okay, they can still do
some
this.
of them, I guess, but because it's
and they probably you also try to reach a whole new generation as well. So now with this Discovery, you see that they're putting time and money back into the
a lot of money, man.
So the thing is, especially once you put,
at least in the production, I don't know about marketing, but definitely into production.
And the thing is, when you put this much money into something, it's not short term. Like, you're not thinking, okay, let's do this for 2 seasons and call it quits.
I hope not.
If you're putting this much money into something, you're thinking long term. You're like, okay, what are we doing down the line? I think there is a plan. I think there is a schedule. We're not privy to it, of course.
I wish we were, man.
I wish we were too. All I'm saying is, you can't put this much money into something and just be like, we're gonna let it go after 2 seasons. I think this is long term. I think we get 6, 7 seasons of this, and then I think we keep getting more.
I hope so.
I think they're thinking long term.
I hope so.
They're not going to stop.
When the original series began, they actually began, the first episode actually happened 13 years before Captain Kirk became captain of the Enterprise. Like, Spock was on the Enterprise long before Kirk came aboard. So we were actually, with Discovery, we were right in that era when Spock was aboard the Enterprise. And so, like, to me, that is so, when you think about it, like, we had the original series and Discovery actually, like, going, like, pretty much parallel to each other, you know? Yeah. And it's so cool to think about. It's like they're doing it, like, 50 years later, you know? It's mind-blowing. So, yeah,
Makes you wonder what we're gonna get after this.
Dude, I still want this season to finish. I want it to finish nicely. I want it to answer all the questions that they actually asked.
Well, that's the thing with the long-term thing. I don't think we get the answers. I think they'll leave it on a cliffhanger. I'm talking about
at least, dude. I know at least as far as Mirror Universe goes. I want them to finish that story arc once and for all.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Unless they want to take it into second. If they want to take it into second season, I'm cool with it. But at least answer some of the
they're gonna answer some of the questions. But here's the thing: I can guarantee it. They're gonna leave it on a cliffhanger.
The first season.
I don't know. Do they stay in the Mirror Universe? I hope.
Okay.
I don't know. Do they make it back to the Prime Universe? But they're gonna leave the season on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
They're not gonna answer questions.
You heard it here first, folks.
They're probably gonna ask a whole lot more, and they're gonna leave it on a cliffhanger. I think I can guarantee that.
Okay, man.
Because that's the long-term plan. I think they want people talking about it. And what better way to keep people talking about it for the second season than leave it with something they're like, okay, now what? What's happening? I need answers.
Yeah.
Get a cliffhangers, man.
Yeah. That's it
for
today.
That's it from us. We're jumping into the War Drive, and bye.
Bash Bros out.